Order for the Planning Commission meeting of May 15th.
Oh, this was just the lot split.
Roll call,
Yeah, but
Cheryl.
then
will you-
doesn't it have, do you agree, Matt?
Commissioner Aspinall. Here. Brickner.
Here.
Varga.
Here.
Grant.
Here.
Conigan.
Here.
Manti.
Here.
Stimpson.
Here.
Ware.
Here.
Chair Treflet.
Here. Can I get an approval of the agenda as published?
I think that's one of the things we have to allow.
So moved. Second. All right, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion's adjourned, is approved. Next is the public hearing, Planned Unit Development Plan 1 of 2025. The location is 29-150 12 Mile. And who's doing it?
For a public hearing, we typically hear from the applicant
Right.
first.
The applicant, but I don't see Aaron up there. Mr. Schaefer? Who's going to do your presentation?
My son Aaron, he should be walking in the door.
That's what they all. Well. You have a backup son, right?
All right. All right. Good evening, Planning Commissioners. Are we able to pull up the presentation on the screen by any chance? I have it here on my laptop, but I'm not sure if you have access to it.
Should be able to just switch to input to my laptop.
Can you move an item in front of us? And references here. And so you should be walking in and
Okay,
so here he comes.
No, the presentation's pulled up.
your brother almost had to make.
I could have given him relief, but it's okay. I'll give him this one. I do a lot of the presentations too, but Farmington Hills is his. I was stuck at a red light. So I had to wait.
That's good traffic use.
All right, well, good evening, members of the Planning Commission. It is a pleasure to be in front of you this evening. Oh, I apologize, the screen's not.
You should be able to just switch your input there. Give it up on that laptop.
It's up on the laptop, correct? Let me just confirm that this is the right one, because I sent, yeah, now let me, this is the prior version. I have it right here. All right, thanks, Eric.
Yes.
All right, well, let's start over from the top now. All right, well, good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Aaron Schaefer, and I'm with Schaefer Development. I'm joined alongside my father, Stephen, as well as my brother, Spencer. And in attendance, I have David Straub of MI Homes. He will be the ultimate home builder and constructor of the two-story townhouse units on this project. Our vision, since when we last presented this to you in August of 2024, has been to create a premier for-sale townhouse community that is tailored to the likes of first-time home buyers, such as recent grads, young families, young professionals, as well as active adults, individuals who are 55 and better, seeking lower maintenance alternatives versus single-family homes. We anticipate strong interest from families with school-age children drawn to the area's excellent schools, parks, as well as overall quality of life. Moving into the aerial, kind of explaining to you what the uses are on all four corners of the property. To the immediate west, our land uses increase in intensity, whether it be offices, schools, religious institutions, commercial, and finally the gas station on the hard corner of 12 Mile and Middle Belt. East of Middle Belt Road, the area transitions in character, more single-family lots that range between 1/3 an acre to in excess of 1 acre. The subject property serves as an ideal transition site as it buffers those more intense uses to the west, specifically the AIM High School, which is in an RA1A district, but is a school use. And again, those less intense single-family uses in character to the east. So the 4.55 acre property is zoned RA1A, one family residential, and master planned for single family residential. Putting that into context, you can see that Wood Creek, the single-family residential development to the north of us, has a combination of both RA1A and RA1B single-family residential. You go to the east, the Levy and Cole properties also have the same designation of RA1A. To the south, we have the Timbercrest subdivision, which is more RA2 in character, slightly more dense residential lots. And finally, to the west, we have the Ames High School use, formerly Echo Park, and private school used zone RA1A. And again, as you get further west, the uses in character are more intense. Again, those office, those commercial, medical, and of course the fuel on the hard corner. So based on early conversations with staff, it was imperative that we reach out to the surrounding HOAs at an early juncture. So you can see here in blue, these signify the actual Planning Commission meetings, the meeting back in October, the public hearing in April, as well as the hearing tonight. You can see we have reached out to all surrounding homeowners groups, Wood Creek to the north, the Levy and Cole families east of us, Timbercrest and Greencastle to the south, and we've had dialogue with each of these homeowner groups and even shared plans, renderings, and floor plans for them so they can get comfortable with the type of product we're proposing on the use of property towns at Wood Creek. So moving over to neighborhood outreach. So the northern neighbor, Wood Creek, we engaged with Hank Morawski, president of Wood Creek, at an early juncture. Actually, at the April meeting, Mr. Morawski was kind enough to write a letter of support for the development, which I will share on the following slide. The western neighbor, Ames High School, we've had multiple conversations with the Ames headmaster, who's been supportive of this development from the onset. In addition, Ames Academy is amenable to granting a secondary access along our shared western property line, which was contemplated in the 2007 recorded shared access agreement between the city of Farmington Hills, Echo Park, now Ames High School, and the Youssef family. On the eastern property line, Mr. Levy and Cole, we've had conversations with both of them, shared plans with them, and they've given us positive feedback and reception toward the plans. Actually, Mr. Levy, who lives in the house to the east of us, requested that we actually provide a greater rear yard buffer between our townhouses and that shared eastern property line, which I'll happily show in the following slide, as well as the addition of native tree species, specifically some hardy evergreens that would retain foliage. He said, "You guys do that for me, I will be in support of this project." So the landscape plan reflects those revisions. Finally, the southern neighbors, Timbercrest and Greencastle, we've introduced ourselves to the HOA board members and have also shared plans for their review. So this is the letter from Mr. Morawski of Wood Creek. I'll just read it very quickly for you. Please be advised that Wood Creek Civic Association Board of Directors has reviewed and discussed the subject PUD proposal. Schaefer Development has provided us with up-to-date development plans for the overall Towns at Wood Creek project, including site plans, landscape plans, and renderings for the proposed building exterior and interior layouts. Wood Creek has no objections with the proposed Schaefer Development PUD proposal. Respectfully, Hank Morawski. So I also wanted to pivot on some of the staff and neighborhood outreach activities we've done since we first put this property under contract in 2024. In August of 24, we had the opportunity to meet with planning, engineering, economic development, as well as the mayor's office to introduce them to this concept plan. As of April 14th, Road Commission has actually closed down the westbound portion of 12 Mile Road where they are doing road improvements. Specifically adding a dedicated turn lane from Inkster all the way to Middle Belt Road. We did complete a traffic study, and the traffic study mentioned that the site access and traffic operations, especially after the 12-mile improvements, function adequately, and no improvements are warranted. Following approval tonight, we are going to be sharing that traffic study with staff in advance of our council hearing. Additionally, we are providing the necessary 60-foot right-of-way per the right-of-way master plan. I know that was an item in one of the review letters, but I just wanted to ensure that is something we're looking to do as part of this development. A few days later, in early September, we had the opportunity to meet with the headmaster of AIM Academy. Again, we are providing a secondary access as contemplated in the 2007 agreement. AIM has always been supportive of granting this access, but what we will be doing is providing a Knox box between the developments that the fire department will be able to access in the event of fire and/or life safety. So it's not going to be a full-time secondary access, but only for fire and life safety. Again, AIM board has approved all of the necessary documents to contemplate the cross-access easement. So this is the record shared access agreement. Essentially, the parts in orange are where it contemplates that secondary access between the properties. You can see on the left side of the screen, the city of Farmington Hills signed it, as well as Echo Park, again, the use before AIM High School, and the use of family on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. So now I want to move into some of the changes we've made on the site plan PUD submittal package. The density remains the same as approved back in October. We're going to have 28 townhome units across the development for a density of roughly 6.15 units per acre. But what I'm proud to announce is the open space. You'll see we've made some minor changes with the clustering of the buildings, but as a result of these changes, we're at almost 63% open space on the entire development. Regarding townhouse design, we have two distinct townhouse footprints. Again, no change from the October meeting. The 24-foot wide units in the middle, and all the end caps will feature a slightly wider 28-foot unit. The most notable revisions are listed at the bottom of the screen. From a clustering and setback perspective, we have organized the buildings in 4 and 5 unit clusters to increase the northern, the eastern, as well as the western property line setbacks to enhance the buffering to our adjacent neighbors. From a secondary access perspective, the surveying has been completed for the secondary access, and I will be showcasing you the slightly updated plan that contemplates that access. Again, no change. It's just when we submitted our plans, AIM did not give us the necessary approval to have our civil engineer on site. About 2 weeks after we submitted the plans, we got the revised plans done, and you'll see that on the next slide, and I did furnish these to staff. On the left is the PUD qualification plan. This is the plan that you approved back in October of '24, where it had 28 units total. What I want to mention is that setback to the north. You can see on the left-hand side of your screen, we were contemplating an 160-foot setback from the back of those northernmost units to the northern property line. The reason being is there's quite a bit of topography from the back of those units to the northeast corner of the property where the Pebble Creek is situated, and I'll talk about that in greater detail later. To the right is the site plan that we are contemplating approval this evening. You can see that the setbacks to the north have increased 57 feet to almost 61 feet for a total of roughly 217 feet to 221 feet. How we were able to do that was that duplex unit you see fronting 12 Mile, we combined those units from 4-unit buildings and 2-unit buildings to a 5-unit building, which you're seeing again on the right side of your screen. At the end of the day, all of the setbacks increased besides the one on that eastern building along the frontage roadway. It decreased to roughly 14 or 15 feet. Okay, so this is the site plan that contemplates that secondary access into AIM Academy. You can see it right here. And then you can also see where the Pebble Creek intersects our property, and I'll be talking about that a little bit more in the following slides. Now, this is the landscape plan. Understand that the entrance is the same. However, not all the plans were updated to reflect that secondary access, but we are still contemplating that secondary access to AIM. Per the direction of Mr. Levy, what appears to be our northern property line, but is actually our eastern property line, we are putting a bunch of evergreens as well as additional landscape plantings to shield this to his residential household. We've got some nice plantings along our 12-mile frontage. Nice screening around AIM Academy, but most importantly is all of the screening we are proposing around the stormwater basin and where the topography falls. So that'll be a really pretty amenity that residents can enjoy, specifically the residents that back up to that northern property line. So I don't want to go into this in too much detail, but there were 4 PUD qualifications that you had voted for and approved back in October. These are the 4 objectives. I will give you a moment to read the slide real quickly. But essentially, these are all the criteria to qualify for PUD qualifications. So these were the four, again, qualifications that we met. Now, moving on to the Giffords-Webster review letter. There were some items in green that required some additional comment, which I've highlighted here to make things easy for you. From a density perspective, we have provided floor plans, which you'll see in the following slides. The proposed development consists of 28 townhouse units with a room count between 96 at the low end and 112 on the high end. And that is because all of the end cap units, the larger 28-foot wide units, will feature standard a 3-bedroom floor plan. All of the interior units will feature a 2-bedroom with a home office den option, where individuals could then upgrade to a 3-bedroom. So the 96 contemplates all 2s in the middle, 3 bedrooms on the end. The 112 contemplates 3 bedrooms across the entire 28-unit development. So again, 50% of residents, this is based off of national data MI has collected, 50% opt for the standard 2-bedroom, 50% opt for the 3-bedroom premium. At the end of the day, if everyone was to select a 3-bedroom unit, we would be roughly 8 units above the RC1 maximum. But again, with that 50-50, we'll be in line or slightly on the higher end of RC1. It is not my belief that we will exceed RC1, but I wanted to provide you with the absolute floor and the absolute ceiling so you could get an understanding of what the room looks like, because it's the tenant preference, the resident preference at the end of the day. In regards to dimensional standards, the lot coverage will be updated on the plans, but again, open space is just a hair below 63%, it's 62.8. And from a building height, we are at about 27 feet, specifically 26 feet 6 inches from the bottom of the building to the midpoint of the roof. That is how the height of building heights are calculated. From a circulation perspective, it was noted that there were no sidewalks internal to the development. Internal sidewalks were purposely omitted to preserve the larger setbacks and open space buffers from adjacent residents, especially since this being a smaller development consisting of 28 units. However, we would welcome a discussion on this topic during the Q&A portion of the presentation. From a lighting perspective, oh, I'm sorry, I gotta go back. So we talked about circulation waste management. There will be curbside pickup for all of the townhouse residences. From a lighting perspective, although a lighting plan was not furnished, the lighting plan will be very similar to the 13-mile presentation that we presented to you earlier this year, the Mulberry Park, the Tabernacle. And essentially what it will be is a photocell light fixture above the garage that will operate from dawn to dusk. So it's not like residents are going to be keeping their lights on all night. It is a photocell, so at 7 or 8 o'clock at night it turns on, and then at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, once the sun comes up, it turns off. From an elevations and floor plan perspective, you'll see that in the following slides. In regards to landscape and screening, we do have a 10-foot maintenance path that is proposed between those 2 northerly buildings and to the stormwater basin, which could be used as a walking path with some type of bench seating overlook to enjoy the stormwater basin as well as the Pebble Creek in the northeast corner. However, it is important to note that this area would not be ADA accessible due to the grades that we have between those buildings. And we can, of course, talk about that in greater detail during the Q&A session. From a tree removal standpoint, we have updated the tree inventory lists at the beginning of the PUD submittal package, which has been updated to reflect the trees to be removed. Now moving on to the engineering letter, there were a couple of outstanding comments that I wanted to provide clarity on. In regards to providing a permanent road stub to the east, again, this is the Levy residence along our eastern property line. It was always our intention to provide a nice tree buffer as well as ample setback, rear yard setback to that residence. In response to the neighbor request for greater setbacks and tree buffering, we would propose a future access easement rather than constructing a permanent road stub at this time. This would permit a connection should that property be redeveloped in the future. In regards to fencing around the basin, this is an item that remains under review. And we can talk about this in greater detail during Q&A, but at the end of the day, we are amenable to providing fencing options to ensure proper public safety around that basin. Finally, there was a comment where it was mentioned that the 60-foot right-of-way was not noted on the plans. It just was a small note on page SP3, so I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. We are providing the proper 60-foot right-of-way allocation per the right-of-way master plan along 12 Mile Road. Now, the fun part, I wanted to show the actual pictures of the Pebble Creek. In the engineering review letter, it does suggest that we provide some type of embankment along both sides of the creek to stop further erosion. That is something that we are amenable in providing. You can see on the left side of the screen is our site plan, and the right side is images, where you kind of see the creek starting to take more of a 90-degree bend. The next picture will illustrate it better. But you can see at one point, someone actually put some concrete embankments on the one side of the creek to stop erosion. This will bring things into better perspective. You can actually see the creek starting to make a 90-degree bend from that blue dot to the green dot. But again, as part of this development, we would be looking to clean up our section of the Pebble Creek. There's a lot of fallen debris in there that we'd be looking to pull out and remove as part of this development, as well as find a embankment solution to stop the erosion of the Pebble Creek on our property. This has been an issue that the city of Farmington Hills has tackled for many, many years. So as part of a redevelopment of this project, this is something that we take of top priority to ensure that no further erosion continues, again, along our portion of the Pebble Creek that intersects our site. So now I wanted to move into the renderings. These are representative illustrations of the 4 unit buildings that will be along that northern property line. From the front elevation, they will appear as 2-story, but from the rear elevation, they will appear as 3 stories, as these units, these 8 units, will feature basements. So you can see there's actually a nice patio on that first floor elevation, but again, these are just for the units backing up to the creek or backing up to the northern property line, which will have a significant setback to that northern property line and the residents in Wood Creek. Here is a representative elevation of the 5-plex units that will be on the eastern and western property lines. These will be slab on grade units, so the front elevation as well as the rear elevation will appear 2 stories. And again, these are all in compliance with the maximum allowable roof heights. We're at 27.7, ordinance is 30 feet. And finally, these are some representative interior illustrations for your review. Again, these are very open floor plan, modern townhouse style units. Here is a representative floor plan for the 4-plex unit, the first floor, as well as the second floor. And then these are the 5-plex units, essentially no change. I want to thank you for the time this evening, and I'll open up the floor to any questions or comments you may have. Thank you so much for the time.
Joe?
Thank you very much. So who wants you to put erosion control on that creek?
It was a request made by engineering in Mr. Cabrera's review letter.
Yeah. So the way erosion works, the higher the velocity of the water, the more soil it can hold. So the slower the water goes, the less erosion you're going to have. So you've said what I'd like to, what they're asking you to do is clear out the river so the water goes faster, and then protect the bank. I would urge you to not jump too fast on that. And if you just leave it alone, it might be fine. Just remember, the more crap you take out of that river, the more erosion you're going to get, because the water's going to move faster. I say that as someone who was with the Corps of Engineers for 20 years. Okay?
Oh, no, I absolutely respect that. And again, whatever guidance engineering gives us, we'll follow it to a T.
I know. Question them.
I'll try to. As a developer, that has to be my
I mean, I don't have all the facts.
much in the process.
I don't have all the facts in front of me. But you've got it coming down, it turns 90 degrees, and then it turns another 90 degrees. In the long run, it's probably going to go straight. You know, streams
Absolutely.
meander. So I question it.
Absolutely, we'll look into that.
Anyone else? Oh, sure. Tangi?
You mentioned, nice presentation. You mentioned that Wood Creek and Ames School were in approval of the building, of the units. Then you mentioned Timbercrest and Green Castle, but you never said what their feedback was.
We've just shared the plans with Timbercrest and Greencastle and said, listen, we're more than open to scheduling a meeting. We wanted to wait until we secured site plan review approval from Planning Commission, and then we're formally going to meet with them. It was always from Planning Department told us, listen, Wood Creek is one of the more powerful homeowner association groups in the city of Farmington Hills. It's highly recommended, should you develop this property right next to the Wood Creek plat, that you reach out to them first. So again, should we receive positive approval this evening, it would be our intention to host some type of meeting with both Greencastle and Timbercrest. One of the city councilors is actually a resident in one of those communities, and we have shared plans with her, and she has talked with them with the HOA board. But again, we haven't done any formal presentation with those groups other than just share the plans and inform them as to what is going on. I didn't want to get anybody excited until we knew we had some type of vested approval.
Okay.
Hope that answers your question.
No, yeah, you answered it.
Thank you.
I think all the subdivisions are very important.
Absolutely, and following tonight's hearing, it would be our intention to meet with those folks. Again, they just said, listen, let us know how it goes, share us the plans, we'll disseminate them to the, the greater community, but they didn't feel it was appropriate at that time. So I think if we secure approval, that would be our next step. Always on the top of our minds to, be good corporate citizens and communicate with our neighbors.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Who's doing it? Joe?
That's me.
Oh,
Wait a moment.
just, they've got to talk first, and then we're going to open the public hearing.
No problem. Yes, so it was a pretty thorough presentation, so I'll try not to repeat too much of what's already been said here. But I will reiterate a few things. One, we are looking at 28 units on 4.55 acres. The surrounding zoning is all RA1A to the north of 12 Mile with RA2 to the south. You did grant qualification for this plan at your regular meeting on October 17th, 2024. The motion is included in our letter. You cited standards E1 through 4 under our PUD regulations when you made that motion. They have provided the required information for a final determination. They did not have they're not going for site plan at the moment. They'll come back for site plan once they get their PUD approval. So that's why some of the information here wasn't entirely thorough. We called it out just to note that we're going to need this in the future, but we will be looking at all of that in some detail later on. Looking at the range of potential densities here, 96 or 112 rooms, that actually happens to span the densities that will be permitted in the RC1 and RC2 districts. The maximum in RC1 is 104. So if they wound up with more than 104, they'd be in line with the RC2 district's density. If they had less than 105, they would be in line with the RC1 district's density. That analysis is provided in our letter. I'm going to actually direct a question through the chair to the applicant, if I may. You said that your open space was 63%, is that correct?
62.8%.
62.8%, okay. So that would be about 37% lot coverage? Right, okay. So that fills in the blank that we had in the table there where we said they weren't specifying their lot coverage. The RA1 district does require 35%, so that would be relief that's been requested as part of this PUD. I wanted to make sure that we got that on the board as requested relief. It's a little less than 2% relief that they're asking for. And the height that he cited earlier, that 27 feet 7 inches would be compliant with the height limit in this district. We did bring up that there are no sidewalks within the development under circulation. The applicants noted that those were intentionally omitted. I will note that the city council, the last couple times things have made it to them without sidewalks, they have required sidewalks. So I just think that that's probably worth a discussion tonight. They clarified that curbside waste is proposed, so there would not be a dumpster enclosure. We noted some kind of small inconsistencies in the tree counts and things. In our review, he is saying that they've updated their plans. I haven't seen that yet. We can get into that in more detail at the site plan approval phase, of course. But if there are any deviations requested from the tree requirements, it would be wise to cover them at this point under the relief sought for ordinance standards, so that we're not left with a situation where they're out of compliance later and they haven't been granted relief under the PUD. Do you have any questions for me?
Gary?
You indicated that the council wanted sidewalks inside, they have to have it along 12 Mile Road, and that's already there.
That's correct, yes. They do have to have them on 12 Mile Road. That is on the plan. They are showing that.
Right, no, I understand that, but you're saying that the council wanted them to have sidewalks inside the subdivision?
The last time a similar plan came forward to them without sidewalks inside, they requested some sidewalks in the interior of the development. That's the history. I just wanted you to be aware.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Nobody else? Okay. I'm going to open the public hearing now. If you want to come up here to the podium and give your name and your street, and tell us in 3 minutes what it is you want to tell us. Going to time it?
My name is Don Payne. I have the property on the north end of this property. I don't have any objections to this proposal, but I would like a barrier, a fence or something, a permanent barrier that ran along the north, which would be the back end of the property. We've left that area of our property wild, and with 28 new neighbors, maybe with a lot of kids, et cetera, I'd just soon not have liability of them entering our property, so that I request that they be required to put some sort of a permanent barrier where it can be placed across the north end of the property. And that's all I got for you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak on this topic? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. Bring it back to the commission. Thoughts?
Did the applicant want to respond to the fence
Yeah.
question?
Any questions in particular? I know there were some items that Giffords-Webster
Yes.
rattled
Do you
off.
want to respond to the fence question? Or
Oh, to the fence question? That is absolutely something we can look into. Keep in mind, it is pretty difficult to traverse that part of the property where the basin is. Again, we have provided a new tree inventory list, and should we be deficient, it would be our preference to do more of a natural screening buffer versus some type of fence. But we can absolutely investigate that further. But I understand the neighbors' concerns. We want to be good neighbors, good corporate citizens, and I will be sure to give him our contact information, and we'll find, an amicable resolution. Whether it's a physical fence, landscaping, a hybrid, we'll absolutely look into it.
Okay. Barry?
What, the property to the west, their property line Is there a fence behind it's the school? Is there a fence behind the school? Or is it
To
open?
my knowledge, no. This is Headmaster Earls of AIM Academy, so he'd probably be better equipped to answer that question.
No. Oh, okay.
I haven't been there in a while. The last time I was there was when I picked up one of my siblings when they used to go there for school, so my memory of that. But there is a wall again along that that shared western property line, and they do have fencing to the north, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, I'm closing the public hearing. Back to the council commission. Barry?
I move to recommend to City Council that the application for approval of Plan Unit Develop Plan, try that again, Plan Unit Development Plan 1, 2025, dated March 7th, 2025, as revised, submitted by Stephen Schaefer, be approved because the plans are consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the master plan, applicable provisions of the planned unit development option in section 34-3.20 of the zoning ordinance, subject to modifications of zoning ordinance requirements as identified in the Giffords-Webster April 1st, 2025 review. I believe some of them have already been met, but, and the following conditions. All outstanding issues identified in Giffords-Webster April 1st, 2025 review shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the city planner. All outstanding issues identified in the city engineers March 26, 2025 interoffice correspondence shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the city engineer. And all outstanding issues identified in the fire marshal's March 25th, 2025 interoffice correspondence shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the fire marshal. And I don't know that I'm going to talk about the fence.
So I'll second that.
Okay.
And I would like to point out that, you know, one of the basis for this PUD approval is to permanently preserve the open space and natural features. Some things that are not yet settled, what I've heard, is there's talking about putting riprap, if you will, along the creek. There's talk about putting a fence along the northern end. There's talk about putting another fence around the detention basin that's going to capture the water from what we're told is only going to be 30% developed. I just want to say that I do support this. Things are up in the air, but meeting the spirit of this planned unit development, I hope there's not too much inertia along those lines.
Absolutely.
No, I want inertia. That's what I want, right?
I want you at my meeting with engineering, so.
They don't. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the one thing that wasn't in the letter was the coverage you were talking about, the additional relief.
Correct, yes.
So
Yes,
we- I think we need to make
37.2%.
Just to specify that we're approving the relief of the 35% coverage.
That you're recommending the deviation.
Yeah, exactly, yep, yeah, 37.2% would be the deviation that you're recommending.
Okay, so we'll add that 37.25% of mediation, or
Deviation.
deviation. They'll make that a D in there.
Are you okay with that, Joe?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Questions before us? Any other discussions on this? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. There you go, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you very much for the time this evening, and enjoy the warm weather finally. Take care.
Next item on the agenda is amended PUD Development 2 of 2021, including revised site plan 59-5-2022. The address is 27400 12 Mile Inkster Road, commonly known as the Sarah Fisher property.
Go ahead, Tim. Yep.
Tim Lochran, Robertson Brothers Homes. You guys have got to be sick of me by now. I have a very quick presentation. I think it's a very simple request tonight, but if you're willing, I would like to go through it quickly. You are all very familiar with the site. And I know I'm not up here, so.
Let's see if we can just change the input here. You see,
There it is. We're good. Whatever you did worked. Okay. Anybody know where the site is? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So this is essentially the exact same thing that you have approved, with one exception, which I'll get to in a minute. But I wanted to really point out that this was obviously vetted many times. We've had more units on previous plans, but I think hopefully everybody's happy with what we're proposing as far as the product and the overall project. Tonight, the request is very simple. The approved plan is what you see above along the frontage, along Inkster. The new plan would add unit, what was circled as 66, in place of where that street was. If you recall, the last time I was here for the removal of that street. And this would have happened a lot earlier in the process if DTE could have given us information, but the information is that one pole has ITC equipment on there. It was going to cost a few $100,000 to move that pole, and we did not need that second access because we have an emergency access to the south on 12 miles. So that was the last time you saw me, was to remove that roadway, which did get approved by City Council on the 3rd of March. And again, it's very straightforward, just to replace that open area, which had the road with a unit. We think there's a lot of benefits to this. It provides another opportunity for residents to stay in your community or to come to your community, but really to stay in your community. And that's what this product is, since it's an age-targeted product. They want to downsize, they want to stay in your community. This is one more opportunity for them to do that. It supports your retention, and it reduces the likelihood of them going elsewhere. So we've been through all this obviously before. It opens up opportunities for families to then buy their homes in the school district, generate increased tax revenue, and one more household to contribute to the local economy. So again, we don't see this as a negative. We see this as a positive, a net positive to everybody. I don't think I need to go through this again. You guys have seen this, but just wanted to throw all this on there just to familiarize yourself again. I think this is the important thing. It is a very important plan for Farmington Hills, really for any community. But we've been looking, as you know, a long time to build this type of product here. You need it. You need basically 40 to 50 of these every single year. So having one more just helps to get to that requirement. And this buyer profile, compared to single family, it's almost half. It's just a little bit more than half of what a single family has as far as traffic, as far as utility. And that is, this comes straight from our traffic engineer, considerably less. So this one additional unit is not measurable whatsoever. If you recall, we do have the historic district elements. We'll be removing much of the building, but keeping the chapel, which is the most important part, I think, and creating that as a community. That has not changed. Nothing has changed on this plan whatsoever except for that one additional unit that we're proposing. I don't think I need to go through these because you guys know, but we've got about 40% of the site as open space. That doesn't change with this. So, and again, we had a road there before, so obviously it doesn't change it. There'll be a homeowners association to maintain all the landscaping. These are the homes which you've seen. Again, I don't want to go through this quickly, but you know the plan very well. And this is exactly what people are looking to buy in your community. So I just think it's very simple. I think it's fair to say, had we come to you originally with 76 detached condominiums and 4 single family, I don't think there'd be any issues. In fact, you've approved, this body has approved more units with townhomes on Inkster in the past. No measurable additional traffic, obviously, for the one unit. No one will ever see that. And there's just no neighborhood opposition. You're not going to see anybody opposing this. In fact, had I asked, we'd have the neighbors supporting the additional unit. So we've just worked very hard with them over the time that we've worked on this. Again, no change to the plan. Everything stays the same open space, chapel stays, and it's a plan that the community wants. So I'll say it again, one more opportunity for home buyers to stay in your community with a quality housing option. It's one more opportunity for a family to move into a downsizing couple's home. It's one more home to produce property taxes and one more household to patronize your commercial establishment. So I appreciate your time. I think this will be the last time you see me on this, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have, so thank you.
Fingers crossed.
Any questions? Barry?
Some of us have been around for a little while.
Yes.
Like, I started out on planning in 1995. I kind of migrated to council and I'm back.
Yeah.
And this is about the fourth or fifth plan, or this is probably the third or fourth plan you presented, but this is maybe about the sixth, seventh, or eighth plan for that particular corner. And I'd like to see someone build something there because you have a bunch of dilapidated buildings that haven't been used for years, and I know they're full of asbestos. And I did see the BRA report, and it seems to, I haven't read the whole thing because it was like 150 pages long and it ate up all my memory.
Yeah.
But do you have a problem with, were there gas tanks on the property? Or are they gone?
There's some solvents in the groundwater, and there's some areas that we're removing as far as around the chapel mostly. So you can see it's one of the reasons why we have some surrounding the chapel. We're going to get most of that out.
I'll be able to talk to you about that on Monday when you present it to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. But the thing that I'm trying to point out, this is probably your fourth or fifth time up here just changing your plans around. I happen to like your plan. I don't care about adding the extra lot in there. I just want you to build something there because that's been an eyesore of a city for over 30 years.
So I'll tell you what we're doing. We've already drafted the final engineering plans. We're ready to submit. Regardless of tonight, we're ready to submit with or without that unit. So we are raring to go. I have been waiting for the city for a PUD draft. Once I get that, we can get to the city council. I think that's the one thing kind of holding that process up, along with the final engineering review, which we have not submitted it yet, so we're still working on that. So we would not have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on final engineering if we weren't serious. So we are 100% serious. We will not get this paved this year. There's no way. And we still have to wait for the lift station to be built on 12 Mile. But our intention is to close on the property this year and start removing the building and clearing and grading. So that is 100% in our plan for the year.
I saw that in the Brownfield plan.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're talking about 2026 taking things down and then hopefully opening up.
Hopefully, we'll start taking them down this year, 2025. That is 100% our plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Joe?
I do not have a great deal to add. You saw this plan, almost this exact plan, back in, I think it was November when you sent it on to council. And they're adding one unit to bring the number of units from 75 to 76. I reran all the numbers on density and things. It amounts to a rounding error. I didn't actually even have to change anything because I had them all in the decimal, the 10th place, and none of them changed. So it really is a very minor change to the overall plan.
Okay.
Yes. I do have a question,
Yeah,
and I asked this before. And I know one side is Southfield, the other side is Farmington Hills. But on the Southfield side, there is a community called the Villas of Pebble Creek.
Yes, we actually looked into that, and I know that,
Close.
I don't know if it's actually recorded as that, as Villas of Pebble Creek. Sometimes they just have a sign up, and we could not find anything. We did look at that very, very closely, yes.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'll open the public hearing now. Anyone who wishes to speak to this item, please come up to the microphone and give your name and street. Nobody wants to talk, huh? Okay.
Everybody wants it to be done.
Then seeing no one interested, I'll close the public hearing. Sure. Yes, Dale.
Mr. Chair, I move to recommend to City Council that applications to amend PUD Plan 2, 2021 and revised Site Plan 59-5, 2022, both dated March 14, 2025, as revised, submitted by Robinson Brothers Homes, be approved because the plans are consistent with goals, objectives, and policies of the master plan and applicable provisions of the Plan Unit Development Option in Section 34.3.20 of the zoning ordinance, subject to modifications of the zoning ordinance requirements as identified in Giffel Webster's April 9, 2025 review, and the following conditions. All outstanding issues identified, Gibbles-Webster's April 9, 2025 review shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the city planner. All outstanding issues identified in the city engineer's November 12, 2024 and February 26, 2025 interoffice correspondence shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the city engineer. And finally, all outstanding issues identified in the city fire marshal's April 8, 2025 interoffice correspondence shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the fire marshal.
Support.
Moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none.
Was that
Motion
Kristen?
passes.
That was Kristen.
There you go.
Good luck.
The next one is special approval 50-1-2025. The location is 29619 9 Mile Road. This is to construct a multi-tenant commercial building within B3 General Business. The applicant is Pinnacle Car Wash. But I understand it's not a car wash you're building, correct?
Correct. The car wash is next door. Yeah, I think so.
A copy of the motion. Have any of them?
Did you give your name and street?
My name's Greg Bono. I'm with PEA. We're the civil engineers for the project. Happy to be here tonight to present our commercial retail project on 9 Mile Road. My client is here tonight. He's the owner of the car wash next door, looking to expand his business, directly adjacent to his existing car wash property. I'll keep it relatively short. We're proposing a commercial mix use of some retail with a drive-through end cap for a potential coffee shop or other fast casual restaurant use with maybe a little outdoor patio seating in the front. We received some minor comments, in our opinion, some very minor comments from the planning department that we're willing to work with them to accommodate. There was one question in the report regarding providing some shared ingress, egress with our adjacent property owner to the east. And we didn't feel really that we were able to accommodate that just by virtue of the number of parking spaces that we would lose in order to make that connection. So from that standpoint, we didn't include it in with our site plan development at this time. So we have the architect here. Of course, the client owner's here to answer any operational business type questions you might have, and I'm here for any engineering questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so we are on the south side of 9 Mile here. The plan is to construct a new 6,086 square foot commercial building with 3 lease spaces. One of those accommodates a drive-through restaurant use. That is why this is a public hearing. That is a special land use. The site would have one two-way driveway onto 9 Mile, and then there's 2 one-way connections, one inbound, one outbound to the property to the west, which is of course owned in common. Site's 0.85 acres, zone B3. When we look around it, you have some light industrial property to the north across 9 Mile. To the south is RA4 and single family. Interestingly, there's a portion of a Homes lot that backs up to it in the southeast corner, but for the most part, it's actually the road. There aren't actually any houses on the north side of the road in that development behind it. Yeah, that shows it right there. And then to the east and west, it's B3, so you have some space to the commercial to the east, and then to the west is the car wash that is owned by the same developer. And there's nothing on the site right now except one curb cut, and there is a utility line that goes across the middle of the site that's going to have to be relocated. So we're presuming that the 2 commercial spaces that aren't drive-throughs are going to be occupied by something that's by right. Looking at the dimensional standards, the one that we called some attention to is that we didn't see a number for the height. I'm sure they're below 50 feet, but we did need a number. And then we also were looking for confirmation that the parapet provides the required screening for rooftop equipment. I'll skip the loading comment for now once I get to that part of the letter. We did put in a comment about the marginal access drive, which has already been addressed in the applicant's comments. They do have connections to the west. They don't have one to the east. The few reasons they didn't do that, but the parking was the primary reason.
The biggest reason.
Yeah, because it would be really hard to get the required number of spaces on the site when doing that. The drive-through standards, one of our standards is they have to have 6 outdoor seating spaces. They say approximately 6 spaces on the plan. They should just delete the approximately. We just didn't see a detail of the entire enclosure. They have the planted hedge that's usually required along the road to obscure the parking. The PC can decide whether or not an extension of that hedge east of the driveway is needed. It's all west of the driveway. The parking spaces east of the driveway don't directly face the road. And then we had a couple informational items on the lighting that'll just need small adjustments. So really nothing major in there, but some informational items, some small adjustments to the plan that are going to be required.
Have you received this letter?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Any questions, Joe? Okay, this is a public hearing. I'll open the public hearing now. If you'll step up here to the microphone and give your name and street. Okay, seeing no one moving toward the microphone, I'll close the public hearing, and it's back to the commission. Joe?
I just need to say something, I guess.
Yes.
Oh, no. Generally, I'm not a big proponent of drive-throughs. However, if you're going to have a drive-through in this community, this seems to be a fairly good location. It's a vacant property for a long time. And I just wanted to say I appreciate one thing and that, about this plan, and that is, while we require the outdoor seating, this outdoor seating is nowhere near the queuing line. When they put the outdoor seating where you can sit there and smell the fumes.
The exhaust, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't appreciate it. So I just wanted to point out that one positive thing about this design.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, Barry.
I move that application for special approval 50-1-2025 dated January 31st, 2025 as revised submitted by Pinnacle Car Wash LLC be approved subject to all applicable provisions of the zoning chapter for the following reasons. The use would not be injurious to the district and environs. The effect of the use would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of the zoning chapter. The use would be compatible with existing uses in the area. The use will not interfere with orderly development of the area, and the use will not be detrimental to the safety or convenience of the vehicular or pedestrian traffic. And do we have to mention that that any of the requirements set forth in the Giffords-Webster plan review be included.
Tom's got something to add.
I was just gonna say on that subject, so this is the motion for the use. So why don't you vote on this one first, and then we'll do the site plan second, but you don't have a sheet for it, so we'll wait.
Okay. We can go ahead?
Go ahead on the special.
First part.
Special approval use, yes.
Okay.
All right, all those in favor of aye?
Second? Yeah, or we got a second already?
Dale's got second.
Yeah, okay. We'll call the vote.
All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you.
And then for the site plan, all you really need to do is move to approve the site plan as presented with the, subject to the requirements of the Giffords-Webster, city engineer, and fire marshal letters.
So moved, as he said.
No. Second.
You're seconding, okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay.
You good?
Thank you.
We'll make coffee.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is special approval 55-4-2025. The address is 24300 Drake Road. This is used property for temporary aggregate within a B3 zoning.
No, you gave me the right one, I think. Yes.
And I bet somebody's
one.
here from consumers.
Hi, Amy Gilpin with Consumers Energy. I'm here with Joe Taylor. He is the gas construction supervisor for the area. And we are looking to do an aggregate-only site at 24300 Drake Road. It's on the corner of Grand River and Drake. And again, it's only aggregates and a backhoe. That's all that's going to be at the site. And Joe can go into more detail as to why we need this site here. There will not be any employees stationed at this site. We're estimating about 10 loads a day, which that means that the truck will come in, load up with the backhoe, and then go back out to the field. The aggregates will be accessible between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. We do have landowner approval to use the site, and we are planning to use that as soon as it gets approved until the end of the 2025, December 31st, 2025. As far as like access into the site with the trucks, we're planning on using that middle driveway that's there, and if required, we're happy to block off the driveway, I think is to the south, so that people can't come in onto the property and drive around the aggregate piles. So.
Hey, everybody. The reason we're wanting to do this is we got a large gas main replacement project that's basically going from between 13 mile and 12 mile from Orchard Lake to the west side of Farmington Hills, or Farmington Road, and then there's another piece at 11 mile in Inkster. And by doing this, our current yard that we're using for a show-up yard is down in Livonia at 7 Mile Middle Belt, where all the aggregates are currently being kept at. By using this yard, it will help speed up our process to get us in and out of the neighborhoods and less impact on the customers and the public.
Okay.
Could you give us your name?
Joe Taylor,
Joe Taylor? Yes, ma'am. And you are from?
Consumers Energy.
Oh, both, okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Does staff have an aerial? Do we have an aerial or something other than the plan we're seeing?
Yep, let me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the McDonald's and the. Okay, does that help?
Yep, thank you.
Steve?
Yeah, what are the plans as far as dust control?
We're hoping, I mean, whatever's needed. If I need to get water in there or anything, definitely gonna monitor and make sure our trucks are coming in at a slow pace. But we're gonna kind of play it by ear, and it's been a pretty wet year so far. But whatever's
I
necessary.
think you're gonna need to. That gets a lot of wind. It gets windy in there, and it'll kick it up if you don't keep it moist.
We have water trucks if necessary.
Good.
So to the city, who supervises this?
It'd be the engineering supervisor, right? The
Construction supervisor.
construction supervisor. Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to make sure you hear this. Several years in a row, we have approved not this type of activity, but another activity that you're familiar with that kicked up a lot of dust. And I've pointed out that the neighborhood on the other side of Drake is the most densest populated neighborhood in Farmington Hills. It is also the largest minority neighborhood in Farmington Hills, and that minority is largely Indian that culturally likes to go for a walk. And we have covered these walking people with dust year after year after year. So if this passes, I expect that there is some supervision, monitoring extensively, okay? I
Barry.
didn't have a question for you.
You were making a statement. No, going along with what Mr. Manti said, I'm the lucky one. I live right around the corner from there, and I am not, I'm of a different minority group, but the fact of the matter is I walk up and down that street too. And people that have had concrete mixing plants there in the past have had water that they're usually where the aggregate piles are. They have something on the top that sprays water down to keep the dust down. And it's just, normally I don't, the fact that that piece of property is vacant has been, it could have been a nine theater movie house that didn't happen, and it could have been a car wash that was approved. It's not getting built now, so you have a place to dump aggregate in my backyard. So yeah, you better make sure that you have something to keep the dust down, and that's the problem with aggregate. It has dust on it. I'm glad you're not mixing concrete there. It tends to make the folks over in the apartment complex upset. But it means that there's nothing going to be built there for another year, which is not a good thing either. And it's been vacant for the 40 years I've been living here. So yeah, you better make sure that the dust doesn't have a dust problem, because I'll know it. And I'll tell those folks.
Be watching.
Yeah.
So in that regard, Mr. Chair, whoever makes the motion, this is a special approval, so you can add a condition. And I think it could be as simple as the condition is comply with the directions and requirements of the city engineers and construction engineering folks. And if they don't, we'll be able to enforce better.
I just want to say one thing. We've had another, in the water install up in Kendallwood, 13 in Farmington. The neighbors there had great complaints because the 7 o'clock start time was actually 6 o'clock when the guys came in and started up their diesel engines, and they were trying to sleep. I mean, it was literally from here to that stairway and that's, you're not quite as close here, but that's a great way to get into a lot of problems.
We start at, starting at the weekend holiday, we do start at 6:30, but like I said, our trucks are at 7 Mile and Middlebelt, so our trucks are not into that Kendallwood subdivision where the water mains also, we're working with water main guys also until 7:30, 8 o'clock. Because we start our day, we stretch, we have morning, what we call safety huddle, discuss the day's plan, and then our trucks head out there. So we're not in that subdivision starting trucks at 6:30 in the morning. Like I said, we're not out there till probably 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. Barry?
I have a different question for staff. With these special uses, isn't there a limitation as to the time? Does it have to be, isn't it supposed to be like 180 days or less?
I don't think there's a hard.
We don't have a hard limit on it in the ordinance, but we do have the ability to set a limit or agree to a proposed limit. And that goes for hours of operation as well as duration of the use. So they're saying that their cutoff would be December 31st, so from May through December 31st. And then
180 days.
it is more than 180 days, yes. And the other thing is I'm hearing a start time on site of 6:30 a.m. I haven't heard a cutoff time when they would be done wrapping up. So
They said
6
7 to
o'clock.
6. 7 to 6, right?
7 to 6.
Okay.
7 to 6.
I must have missed that, but, okay. So that's what I've got for timeframes. That was the major call out in my letter too, was what are the timeframes in terms of hours of operation and how long the use is going to be there. So, and then obviously there's been some discussion about dust concerns. The other thing is that we didn't see any kind of indication of what circulation might be like. I know they've said that they're going to close off that driveway to the south. I just recall that when I was discussing this with the fire department folks in the meeting we have before the planning commission meetings with staff, they do generally like to look at the circulation and make sure that it's not going to cause any problems for them if for some reason they've got to get in there.
Yes.
So does it make sense if they're cutting off traffic from the south to also from the north as well?
Yeah, I think generally speaking, this is traffic you don't necessarily want mixing with other
So maybe make that
off-road
note
traffic. You've got parking lots and
from the
things
north.
where people aren't expecting a big dump truck.
The driveway to the north on the other parcel, is that what you're saying?
There's like a dirt
Yeah,
driveway
that, I don't
connects.
anticipate
It's
them
got a-
trying to use
It's got a
that.
gate across it.
It does? Okay.
Yeah.
And it,
We
It's,
would like to use that,
We
but
would-
it's
yeah.
somebody else's.
yes, it's
Yeah.
off this parcel.
It's not their property.
it's the one to the south that is more of a concern, just because that is an active site to the south. And we just don't want people wandering from that site into here is probably the bigger concern, but also there's really no reason to be using a dump, be sending your trucks down to that other site. You've got a driveway right onto yours, so.
Yeah, we would like to close that one gate, just when, the few times I've been over there, a lot of people like to avoid that intersection of Grand River and Drake, so they come in there, swing through there, and then either go through the McDonald's or come out the dealership that's on the other side. So just for our safety and for the public safety, we'd like to try to close that off just so that it's not easy access for them.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that was, you received some public comment on that particular issue from the neighboring property owner.
Your neighboring property. 35080, 35200 Grand River.
Yes, Joe?
So again, this project goes from, I'm sorry, did you say 12 Mile and Orchard Lake? Or-
The job that we're on now is between 12 Mile and 13 Mile from Orchard Lake to the west side of Farmington Road.
Okay, I'm talking more to them than to you. OCC supported a huge construction project in that vast open parking lot in the past. I think when contractors need to engage in this type of activity in order to support the city, I would hope that the city would direct them there, just for the future. Okay? There's very few residents. It's down in a little valley. I think that's a better location. And yes, I had a gas leak today and consumers came immediately and saved our lives.
So if I may, one of the reasons why we try to use a dirt lot, I understand the dust, but with gravel trains coming in, trucks coming in, we have a tendency to ruin parking lots and to avoid having to repave or redo customers' parking lots.
Well, OCC already ripped out the parking lot just to make room for the 696 construction, so. In the future, it's a great place to direct people.
Joe, are you bringing in double bottom gravel haulers?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Double bottom?
Yes. They bring in the material, and then the trucks that are hauling out are either a 5-yard or a 10-yard dump truck.
Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead, Tangi.
You also noted on here that you're be open Monday through Saturday. You will be working on a Saturday as well?
Yes. We don't have our entire work plan, our overtime plan for the year yet, but as of right now, we're starting Saturdays. The first one's gonna be the first weekend in June, and then every other holiday, or every other Saturday in June. I don't have the rest of the plan because the company just hasn't come up with the overtime plan for the year, but we're just leaving it open as of now in case they do open up Saturdays for us.
Okay.
But as of right now, it's every other Saturday in the month of June.
Yes, usually construction's closed on the weekend.
Yes, Barry.
Aren't you done with Orchard Lake Road?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because my office is on Orchard Lake Road, and you had one lane closed down for better part of a month.
Yep.
And the grass is growing now, except the stuff underneath it's kind of still there. Okay. But you guys have been gone since last week, so I assume you're not going to be dumping the gravel on Orchard Lake Road anymore.
No, that's all done.
Thank you.
Right now, we're currently at 12 in Kendallwood at 12 Mile and Farmington Road.
Well, I can see you digging holes all through Kendallwood across from the post office because I drive past that all the time too.
Yep.
My neighborhood.
Yep.
Of course, you were here last month to get permission to do that.
No,
Nope, that
different
wasn't-
company.
No. I thought it was
Someone else.
No, the
The water guys.
they were a different company.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Public hearing?
Yes.
Public hearing? Public hearing?
There's no public hearing.
Public hearing, right?
That was right?
Who said no public?
There's a public hearing on this.
This is a special use.
We're only halfway through this agenda?
Well, somebody keeps talking. Okay. It's a public hearing, if you want to sit down. What?
Always weird.
Anybody? I'll open the public hearing.
Yep.
But nobody's come up tonight. This is the third time I've opened a public hearing and nobody wants to talk. So I'll close the public hearing.
Acknowledge like letters.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Mr. Chair, I have a motion.
okay.
I move that we grant special approval as requested by Consumers Energy as presented in their May 15th, 2025 letter with the activities concluding by December 31st, 2025, and as specified in their letter, the details involving their project, that it be subject to stringent dust control, and that the approval is based on meeting all applicable city requirements and engineering standards.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those who wish to discuss.
I don't know, I was trying to cut that.
I know. So I'm going to vote no, and I will vote no against any such activity at that site again unless the proponent is instructed by the city in advance to come forward with what their second best location would have been and why they can't use it. All right? We're just getting this binary decision process on something that frankly, smells.
Mr. Chair, can I comment on that?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
mean, we're responsible to react to what comes to us.
And I'm saying what I want.
We have asked them to be good neighbors. They are doing a project that is benefiting Farmington Hills residents, and these sites are always a necessity of the work that's required for keeping our infrastructure in place. So I think we've conveyed the message. They know they're expected to be good neighbors, control the dust, certainly down the road, if somebody comes with a site plan to do something with that, there's going to be a lot of people eager to vote yes on a good project there. But I guess I just wonder what our role is in terms of directing people to places rather than reacting to basically what comes to us, and for us to convey what the standards are, what we expect, to be good neighbors, good corporate citizens, and helping our residents, and not hurting our other residents who are directly affected by the operation.
If I may respond, I believe when you say us, you're referring to the Planning Commission. And I was not directing any of my comments to the proponent. I was directing all of my comments to the engineering department here. And you know that the proponent is meeting with them before they come before us.
Understood.
That's who I'm talking to.
Good, thank you.
Because I thought I said it before,
You have.
okay? And it hasn't done any good, so I'm making it clear. Thank you.
Yeah, he motioned.
We already motioned and
We
supported it.
motioned for it,
And
and
then
we
he
voted,
started,
right?
he started
We voted,
commenting.
actually.
And we
Oh, yeah,
voted for
we
it, he
commented,
voted
yes, he
against it, we're done.
Call a question.
Okay.
We already voted.
You voted, I voted against it.
Yeah.
That was the shock of the night, okay.
Was I didn't vote against.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Good luck. Keep it clean.
Regular meeting.
Keep it real. Okay.
Oh, on this last item, we do have a letter from RS Grand River LLC, Mr. Anthony Rhea, expressing concerns about people traversing across his property.
Yeah.
And that'll go in the file. Okay? Next item on the agenda is lot split. 1-2025, the address is 30749 Grand River. This is to split one lot into two lots within a B3 general business district for Funway Real Estate.
Start with the.
Staff.
Start with staff.
Staff will lead with this one.
This is not this.
So yes, this is 3749 Grand River Avenue. It's the northeast corner of the larger Funway complex. Longtime veterans of the Planning Commission will recognize this one because we actually reviewed and approved a nearly identical lot split several years ago. That was never finalized.
Correct.
So the split's going to result in two parcels. You have the larger parcel, which is going to still have all of the recreational use on it. That's 5.4 acres. Parcel 2 is a much smaller parcel, 0.26 acres, and that has a daycare on it. Right now, the daycare is sharing a parcel with the recreational use. So both of them will be accessed from Grand River. The larger parcel is a through lot. It's got some rear frontage on Freedom Road, but there's no access from Freedom Road. The driveway and parking area of the small building that's going to be split off is not connected to the rest of the site. It's self-contained, it has its own little driveway onto Grand River, and there's no cross-access between them. It's all commercial and office zoning, and office uses around us, and all commercial zoning. In general, it appears that the dimensional standards of the B3 district are going to be met by existing development on parcel 1, and we asked for some details on parcel 2, which were then provided, and the building will be compliant on parcel 2 as well. We didn't really see marked parking on parcel 2, so we weren't exactly clear on whether parcel 2 had the right number of striped spaces for its use. The split's not actually going to change the situation on parcel 2. It's been operating as is for some time now. But I think for the benefit of everybody in the future, it would be nice to know how many parking spaces they actually have on that lot. Otherwise, we found that the split is consistent with our ordinances, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions? Yes.
I'm having a problem with the graphics here. Normally, I can tell what the first one is and what the parcel 1 is and parcel 2. What am I supposed to look at for this? Where does it say parcel 1 and parcel 2?
Which of these sheets do you think would be the best representation? Maybe,
Let's see.
um,
I would say, yeah, it's probably where you get the legal descriptions. So you've got kind of, this one shows the larger lot, and then this one shows the smaller lot separately.
Parcel 2.
Yeah.
Based on the top header.
Right, exactly. So whereas you are probably most used to seeing parcel 1 and parcel 2 represented and labeled on the same sheet.
Yeah.
Here you have a legal description with parcel 1 at the top, and it shows the remainder parcel 1.
Wait a minute. I have legal description, and legal description.
Right, so there's
which?
There's
Oh,
one.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
There's
I
one
have
that's the
3 of them.
existing parcel. It's labeled the existing parcel in the upper right corner. If you go to the next one, it's labeled parcel 1 in the upper right corner. And if you go to the one following that, it's labeled parcel 2 in the upper right corner.
It's actually left corner.
So they're just,
She's telling me it's left corner, not right corner.
oh, I'm sorry, it is the left
And
corner.
that's, all right.
Yes,
So
I was
let's
sorry,
go
I was
back.
looking at it upside down.
Let's go back.
so here's the progression, kind of, yeah. We'll go.
Thank you.
That's existing, parcel 1, and then parcel 2.
Yep, so it's that northeast corner.
I'm supposed to understand this? Parcel 2. Anybody?
That was a good question.
I just don't know what it is. I'd be glad to vote for it, most probably, but I don't know what it is.
So when you're looking at the sheets,
Thank you.
lots 135 and 134 become parcel 2. Up in the top right, it says,
Yeah.
that's parcel 2.
Well done.
There we go.
Well
But
done.
parcel, just for clarification, parcel 2 does not get its own lot ID number?
Well, it wouldn't be referred to as a lot, but it would get its own tax identification number.
Yes, it will get its
It
own.
won't be reassigned a lot number or
Okay.
anything like that, just a tax ID number.
Exactly, because the lot numbers that you're seeing here are
It's
the remains of an old plat.
Underlying plat that,
It's an old underlying
Oh,
plat.
and
that's-
Joe, part of lot 136 will be part of parcel 2. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's all of 135 and a very small portion of 136.
So we could call it the northeastern corner of this
Correct.
property.
Yep.
And they're, okay. To facilitate a separate business. And
Yes.
development along the Grand River corridor that needs development, and that someone has recently done some aggressive redevelopment or improvement that I'm looking forward to putting on. Yes, thank you. I just thought it was important that we knew what we were voting on before we voted on it.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay.
Barry?
I would like to reveal to the Planning Commission that at one time I did represent the owners of the property. They have since sold the property, and this lot split has nothing to do with my former client, who I haven't seen in a few years. But I thought it was, it's appropriate for me to state that I once represented someone who owned all that. But he's in Florida. I think he's still alive. He's in his 80s. But,
Not a conflict.
Okay.
You're good to go.
thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Any other questions? Okay. Somebody make a motion already?
Did he speak?
Do we need to hear from you? Do you want to talk?
You don't need to, you know.
Don't need to hear from me. My name is Jim Allen. I'm here on behalf of the transferring entity.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Thank you, Jim. Yes.
I move that application for lot split 1, 2025, final dated January 23rd, 2025, is revised, submitted by Funway Real Estate LLC, be approved because it appears to meet the applicable provisions of Chapter 34 zoning and Chapter 27 subdivision of land of the city code and will result in land parcels generally compatible with surrounding parcels in the vicinity, and that the city assessor will be so notified.
Second.
Moved and supported. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The motion passes.
Good luck. Thank you.
It took so long to get to this.
The next item on the agenda is lot split 2 of 2025, final PUD 6, 1993. Location is 27614 Middle Belt Road. The proposal is to split one lot into 2 lots within OS1 office district. Lot split approval, and this is the final split.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this site is actually a portion of an existing PUD that includes a mix of both the commercial shopping center and the residential portion to the rear. The Planning Commission did see a site plan relevant to this site in 2023 and 2024, which included a drive-through in the outlot area. The applicant did decide not to proceed forward with the drive-through, but at this time they're looking to split the lot that includes that kind of outlot structure. The site right now is zoned a mix of OS1 and B2, and the southern fringe of the site has the underlying RA2 zoning. The portion of the PUD that's considered here is 7.5 acres. But it would be split into 6.8 acres and 0.655 acres. I don't have a lot of comments on kind of the typical lot split questions regarding orientation and things like that because of kind of the format of this as an outlot. The only surrounding parcels is the shopping center parcel that's surrounding. They meet the depth to width ratio. I think the main thing with this approval is that we want to confirm with the city attorney that it is only a minor PUD amendment to the actual PUD agreement itself, which I'm sure has, states the parcels involved. But aside from that, happy to answer any questions, and that's all I have for my review.
Any questions? Steve?
Yeah, I guess a couple, do we need to consider any cross easement for the, as well as, has it been evaluated for parking? And would we need a shared parking agreement for this?
Those would all be conditions that will have to be met through engineering review. So final review of the lot split essentially by the engineering department. All of the agreements would have to be in place prior to that approval.
Okay.
So it'll take place administratively after tonight's.
Do we need to make that part of our motion as a condition of approval?
Before the split is recorded, that has to be completed, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's standard process, but we could certainly specify it in the motion. I don't think it would hurt.
You
right?
can.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I would like the reference when you get to a motion about the PUD as well. We can talk about that.
Okay.
You want to make the motion?
See why you might want that.
Not you. Yeah. Oh, who's the proponent for this?
Is this fun there?
Good evening, Planning Commission. Dylan Kama, legal counsel to the applicant, Merchants Marketplace. We also have civil engineer Alan Eisenberg here to answer any questions that you may have. Just to respond to your question, Stephen, we do have the agreements, the easement agreements, and all other agreements in place, currently being drafted and ready to be executed. So just to address that.
Okay.
Could you repeat your name?
Yeah, Dylan Kama,
How do you spell your last name?
AAMA.
A-A-M-A, thank you.
Ready?
Oh, I have a question.
Okay. I move that the,
Barry's got a question. I thought you had a question.
oh, you have a question, Bear?
I just had a question.
Oh,
Is the purchaser of, the lot split is the person that's actually renting the space, buying the space? Is that what's going on here?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it's the dentist office that it occupies. The southerly tenant space right now is the one effectuating the split, and he'll own the whole parcel, right?
Which would get rid of, which kind of answers the question about they were the ones that were complaining when they were allowed.
Drive-through is not likely to happen in this case, right?
It makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Of course. Okay, Steve.
Ready for a motion?
Yes.
Okay. I move that application for Lot Split 2, 2025 final dated March 13th, 2025, as revised, submitted by Jacob Covetti, BE, be approved because it appears to meet the applicable provisions of Chapter 34 zoning and Chapter 27 subdivision of land of the city code and will result in land parcels generally compatible with surrounding parcels in the vicinity and that the city assessor be so notified, subject to confirmation of all approvals needed to the PUD agreement or plan? Or plan, if any, and any cross easement agreements are executed.
Second.
Second, okay, moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you.
Danielle.
Danielle.
Where? Okay.
Next item on the agenda is site plan 58-9-2024. The address is 29510 Orchard Lake Road. This is a redevelopment gas station within the B3 General Business District. Who's the proponent? Okay, hang on just a second. We're going to start with Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to take this one. I do want to note that the review letter that's in your packet right now is actually been updated because we've received a revision. So I'm going to go through the updated review and make sure to cite the most recent date in the motion, however you choose to proceed. The applicant is proposing to expand an existing gas station and convenience store. They currently have 4 fueling positions under a canopy and 2 uncovered positions at separate pumps for diesel, and they're proposing to have 4 or 8 fueling positions under the canopy in the updated site plan. There's some major concerns when it comes to meeting the dimensional standards. So the Planning Commission is not able to approve these plans based on these compliance issues, but the applicant has informed the city that it's their intent to pursue a variance in the event that they do not receive approval tonight. To that end, the front setback to the canopy is supposed to be 25 feet, and it's only 19 feet and 1 inch. And they also are not meeting the minimum parking setback, but they are adding a 5-foot planting strip there, so they're reducing that existing nonconformity, and they're also reducing the nonconformity when it comes to the landscape area abutting a street or freeway. As far as the parking requirements go, they have provided sufficient parking, but I do want to note that the 2 employee spaces are in the rear of the building and would be obstructed by the loading if those 2 things are occurring at the same time. Also, with the maneuvering lanes, there's some pretty big issues. So at the northern side of the site, there's less than 20 feet between the parking space and where a vehicle would be parked at a fueling position. So if somebody was to back out, there isn't sufficient room. And the same issue is at the southern end of the site, where the ingress is less than 20 feet from the parked vehicle at the fueling position.
I would just add in that context that the zoning ordinance actually requires 20-foot width for 2-way traffic, right? So we're less than that with a car parked in the outermost fueling positions, which would require a variance, in our opinion.
In addition to that, as mentioned earlier, the canopy location is within the setbacks and will require a variance. In addition, while the pump islands are within 100 feet of residential to the north, modifications are allowed because of its status as an existing gas station. There is a fenestration requirement specific to gas stations in the zoning ordinance of 60% on any facade facing a pump island. The elevation appears to have only about 35% fenestration, and the applicant has stated that it's all existing and not changing, but it's not labeled on their plan, so we just want some additional labeling information to clarify what materials are proposed and existing. And then I have the circulation comment. I think we pretty much covered most of that. The site is very tight, and people can't get around either side of those pump islands on the north and the south. The applicant has addressed these concerns again and states that they would intend to seek a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals. We didn't find any issues with the landscaping that was proposed. Again, this is an existing site, and they're just making some minor upgrades, including that 5-foot planting strip and an additional island. As far as the lighting goes, we just need a little bit more information. The photometric plans don't actually show that planting strip, so we just want to make sure that the site plan, photometric plan are consistent. And then they're also exceeding the minimum illumination ratio, or the average to minimum. And that pretty much concludes all of the issues that we've uncovered on the site plan. Again, I think given the inability to comply with the dimensional standards of the ordinance, the Planning Commission should not proceed with an approval. However, the applicant, upon receiving a denial, does intend to go to the ZBA.
Or alternatively, you may condition approval of the site plan on those variances being granted, right? That's something you've done in the past, so that's another alternative.
Okay, you're the proponent?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Alex Rayshuni. I'm with MA Designers, Inc. I'm the designer on this project. I'd like to begin by saying that this is an existing gas station, okay? The owner purchased this gas station probably about 14 months ago, 15 months ago. And in last spring, he decided to renovate the building. While he was renovating the building, he got approval by the building department, and he changed the facade, and he put new windows, and the building department didn't say anything to him about fenestration or anything like that. This comment came up probably on the third review that they did. Every time they give us a review, they would change and add a subject in order to put obstacles in front of us and the owner. The reason why we're here today is we're not proposing anything on the building. The building is already done. It's renovated inside and out, and it looks very nice if you went by and looked at it. What we're here for is to, while he was doing that, he said to himself, you know, let me just update the canopy because now I got a new building. So I might as well do something with the canopy. And if he's going to do something with the canopy, he would like to replace the pumps. He has 4 pump islands right now. And he has 2 on the front and 2 on the side. By eliminating the 2 on the side, he increased circulation on the whole site. He repositioned all the pump islands now toward the front, in which he has most of his gas station designed in this way. It's not his first rodeo. He's been in the business probably for 25 years. He's got 20 gas stations around all the Metro Detroit area, whether it's here or in the suburbs. Farmington Hills, of course, being more of a luxurious city that, you know, he wants the property to look very, very nice, you know? So he just wants to improve his property, you know, for his customers, for his business, of course. We're not going to say not. I mean, he has to keep up with his bills. The way it is right now, before he did renovations, he wasn't doing anything. He was losing money. Even though he in this particular instance, it's not his first gas station. He's got other ones that can probably help him out. So he decided that he's going to replace this canopy. The reason why we're here is because of this canopy, this pump, the pump islands. So he wanted to replace the 4 pump islands and position them toward the front. We call it like a dive-in pump. And in order to dive in toward the building in that sense, the cars go in that direction, and you must have seen a lot of gas stations in that way. It increases the circulation and the way people maneuver and how they can get in and out quicker. And everybody, and then the business also increases. And we see that on all gas station owners and stuff like that. And I see that as a designer when, you know, their business is failing at one point, and then when they do this remodeling with these dive-in pumps in this sense of design, they just triple their business. Not double, it's triple, and they're all happy. Otherwise, they won't be dumping, you know, over $1 million off, at least, maybe more these days, on these properties. So his intention is to comply with the city, to comply with the ordinance, to comply with circulation, to comply with all this. And I'm going to show you an example of the gas station across the street that doesn't have nearly as much circulation as this one does in a moment. But by complying with all the requests and any ordinance for the city and all that, he complied with closing 2 approaches, not 1 approach. 2 at the intersection that he was reluctant because he wants all the traffic he can to go in as fast as possible to pump and have business. So he complied with that. He complied with putting more landscaping where across the street doesn't have any landscaping. They just have a 2-foot high wall. So we have landscaping and a 2-foot high wall proposed on fronting Orchard Lake. And on 13 Mile, we're proposing only a 2-foot high screen wall that the brick's going to be matching the brick that's on his building, without the landscaping in order to increase that circulation that they were just talking about. So in most cases, when people are circling around pumps, which is the most important subject, it seems like, is this circulation, is that when someone's at a pump and someone wanted to circle around the opposite direction, they usually don't have another double island, right? Double aisle way right there. Not in all cases, even though we have about 27 feet. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can see it from up there. Yeah, we have 20, right to the center of the island, we have 26 foot 6 inches. So the car needs about 9 foot wide parking space in order to pump right at the side of that last pump island. Same thing on the south side, and then same thing on the northern pump island. And on a northern pump island, we have 26 feet. That's 26 feet, 10 inches? Yeah, 26 only, to the parking space.
To the center of the island. So then minus 10 feet, that's about 16 feet for maneuvering.
So, yeah, but you never really see two cars at the same time coming in. You know, one would stop for the other in all cases, if you experience, you know, filling gas and leaving and coming in most cases. And I haven't seen an ordinance that says that it needs a 2-aisleway. Eric did mention that there was an ordinance, but I didn't get it in writing. I didn't really review it before I got here. So what I'm trying to say is that this new design for the canopy and pump will just improve the look of and business and the appearance of this gas station in order to go ahead and try to do business in this location. And we are complying with all the other improvements, whether it's landscaping, a 2-foot high nice screen wall. You know, we have adequate enough parking spaces. On our last meeting with Eric and Charmaine, we were supposed to eliminate the 2 spaces in the back. I must have printed the wrong site plan, updated site plan, but those are going to be eliminated. We will comply with that, even though it's a dead space in the back. The reason why I just put it out there was I wanted to leave all the parking spaces for the customers, what we do have in the front, and have that one or two employee. That, you know, usually they have 1 employee for a cashier, and then on the second one just to fill the coolers for a few hours in the day. So those are the parking spaces that I wanted, you know, that I showed back there, right beyond that loading, unloading space. But other than that, we can just eliminate them, you know? But we can't stop anybody to stop that back there, so we don't take up more parking spaces for the customers and stuff like that. That's what I was trying to point out to Charmaine and Eric at our last meeting. But apparently, it still showed on my last site plan. But we want to eliminate those to comply. And we complied with everything else. I mean, as far as lighting, photometric, we had a meeting, and at that last plan, they said that certain questions that were arisen by Giffords and Webster was going to be questioned. I'm hoping that Eric's going to help me on that because he's seen some of the information that was on that photometric by another company that did that, and whatever discrepancies that we do have, we want to comply with everything and match the landscape plan to the site plan. I mean, they're picking on little discrepancies between the plans when we're always revising, but other than that, we want to comply with everything. Other than that, I don't have anything else to say. If you have any questions, the owner's right here, one of the owners. So.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
A question for the proponent or for staff. When they pulled a building permit for their building, did they get a C of O for the improvement?
I don't believe that the permit has been finalized, that I'm aware of.
No. Did you get final approval on a building permit?
We have a final approval on Monday, inspection, for electrical, HVAC, and plumbing.
Okay, so it's in process?
Yeah, we already asked, we have an appointment on Monday.
Okay.
With the city.
Note also.
It's completely done, in and out.
So the simple answer is they don't yet have a C of O, but it's in process.
So now we're dealing with, so the building improvement's underway under a permit.
Yes.
Now we're dealing with the issue of a new canopy,
Yes.
and kind of the layout and the non-conforming situation
Yep.
of the building on the
Right.
site.
Right.
Non-conforming, and how we make the canopy work with the pumps they proposed.
Right. Yeah, it was the addition of the canopy that brought this into the realm of planning commission review. Because it's discretionary, they're not able to meet the setbacks among some of these other issues. Something we couldn't address administratively, right?
So, but if the planning commission said, we like the investment, like, we like the improvement, we could give him direction in terms of what he needs to go to satisfy those requirements of the zoning board of appeals. If we propose the plan, it's not our expectation he's going to tear his building down and be able to be conforming, is it?
No, that's not the expectation at all.
No, the expectation is the building's going to stay. We
Yes.
issued a permit. It's under review. It's probably going to get approved by
Right.
building department. Now they're proposing a canopy. Now the question is, can we make it more conforming? I mean, it's not going to be totally conforming, I guess, right? Because we're not expecting to remove the building.
Right.
So is there, given what they want to do and the deficiencies you've identified, is there direction, are we giving them direction what they have to do in order to proceed with their plans, how to fulfill their plans?
Yes, and I do want to point out that the existing conditions of the site only had 2 pump islands in the front. So they're expanding they definitely were having the canopy in the front setback before. The issues with the maneuvering appear to be new issues that weren't existing on the site before.
Understood. So they just have a different way to look at it with the different canopy length, and it's different than the existing.
Yes.
Yes.
Much larger than the existing.
Understand.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to add just one more thing that I forgot to mention. Regarding the setback of the canopy, that's the main issue that we need to go for a variance. So the canopy right now sets 12 feet back. I'm not sure previously, when the older canopy was installed, they allowed them to have the 12 feet. Now we're only asking, we have 19 feet, 1 inch. So we're only asking for a 5-foot, 11-inch variance instead of what it was from prior, what it is right now. This is on the Orchard Lake side. On the opposite side, no, it's already set back, probably like 30 feet or something. So we're asking for a 7-foot variance. So, yeah, we want to go in front of the zoning board for that. And then I wanted to kind of pass this around, if I'm allowed, just to show the gas station across the street that seems like pretty new development at one point, and new canopy. And just if you can take notice of their aisleways and how the cars are entering from Orchard Lake south into that gas station, and how much room is between the canopy and the property line on Orchard Lake and on 13 Mile.
Mr. Chair, I mean, I have really no interest in looking at some other properties. I'm aware of, I'm live close to that area, I'm very much aware of the other buildings. Really, because you're proposing an improvement, that's why you're under the microscope, and we're trying to figure out how we can realize your dream, and we do it within our requirements, and what's expected, how much is expected by the city in terms of bringing the site up to greater conformity.
I would think that that information might be useful context in the Board of Appeals application, right? I would think that the information that he's looking to present about the other gas station would maybe be more relevant in the context of the Board of Appeals.
I mean, we're just looking at your site, and I'm sure there's stuff going on other properties. They point to, look at what they're doing over there. Yeah, we're really focused on what you're doing and how we can make that happen.
And also, we already own a gas station on 10 and Orchard, the Sunoco with the Tim Hortons. That's also our property.
Oh, yes, Barry?
Well, if he didn't change the canopy around, he'd be okay, wouldn't he?
Well, it depends on what you mean by okay. I mean, he may.
It would be, if he didn't change, if he left it the way it is and just redid the building, and he's gonna get his approval on, he gets his C of O on the building.
Yep.
He doesn't change his canopy and he doesn't change his pumps.
Yep. Then he would not.
Be in front of us.
Right, he would not have been required to go through site plan review at all in that
If he
case.
wants to change his canopy, he has to meet ordinance now.
Right.
That's what you're dealing with. If he didn't do anything with the canopy or the pumps, you get the building approved, you open up. If you want to change the canopy and change the positioning of the pumps, then you have to meet
That's his intention, just to leave it the way it is. You know, he's gonna have an old canopy, and
If you
I don't know
see
if it changes the image.
the old canopy compared to the new store, it's it's to the left of the store. It's not even in the middle. It looks. I mean, I can open up, but it
My
looks
office is
awful.
down the street. I've been watching this thing go for months, and it looks nice
We've
on
been-
the
we've been
outside, but
working-
you know, you do what you
We've
want.
been working on this since June of last year.
I know.
And it's really very costly, and we really need to finish this ASAP. I mean, every day by day, we're paying more money.
But if
We're
you,
losing more money.
if you change the way your canopy is structured and where your pumps are located, then you have to meet ordinance, or you have to, in this particular case, you'd have to get a variance to allow it to be different from what it is now. If you didn't change it from the way it is now, it's not a question before us.
But because of the new building, we have to, plus, right now, we have 4 pumps, so we're not really adding another pump. We have 4 pumps. We closed down 2 entrances, which makes it a lot easier to maneuver
I
inside.
see it all the time. I know what you got over there.
Yeah, so we really don't see, I mean, it's better off if the way we're planning on doing it.
You understand that if you change the canopy, you change where your pumps are, then we have to approve it.
Definitely.
And you have to
That's
get a
why we-
variance,
that's why we're
because
here.
you're not gonna be, if you don't change anything, we don't have to do anything. That's what I'm trying to say.
Joe?
Joe's having conditions.
So what I thought I just heard you say was that you've already changed the islands.
No,
we haven't.
We haven't did anything to that.
Okay.
We haven't touched
So
anything.
you have,
extra.
as I understand it, you have 4 pumps on 2 islands.
True.
And you want to go to 8 pumps.
4 pumps, same 4 pumps. But it's gonna be dive-in, which is a lot easier to come in and out.
But 4 pumps on 4 islands, right?
There's 4 in the front and there's 4 on the side.
What the hell does dive-in mean?
there's
I've
one-
heard you say that several
that's-
times, and I
Yeah.
never looked.
If I may show you, I have a picture of the
I see
property.
4 cars.
There's a picture of the property right
That's a
there.
picture. We have 2 pumps here and 2 pumps there. We have 2 pumps here and 2 pumps
This is what it
here.
looks like now.
Now we're making all 4 pumps dive in right here. We're removing here.
They're all in one line.
Exactly.
You're still going from the same number of islands and pumps to the
Exactly.
same number of islands.
Exactly.
It's just designed different.
Different types
Design
of,
different because of the storm.
He's putting them all across
different
the
types of
front.
pumps.
When you say dive in, is that like everyone coming in one direction?
Exactly.
So no
And coming
one's
out.
recirculating,
Exactly.
they're
Instead of
just-
having 2 here and 2 there, they're gonna be.
And that's pretty inherent, like people kind of
Exactly.
just
Well,
do that.
you see what's confusing is when you say that,
Mm-hmm.
your drawing shows the cars going in opposite
Yeah,
directions.
I didn't.
And that is what is confusing.
if-
You're
if
saying they're
it's
all
okay.
coming in from the same side.
I did.
Okay?
Well, for me, this is a classic example of redevelopment. The challenges of redevelopment.
Yeah.
New standards,
Yeah.
and how do we come to some sort of resolution when the gentleman wants to invest in his property and take care of a blighted canopy in our community and still use the property without tearing his building down and rebuilding to be totally in conformance. So, me personally, I like that you cut a couple entrances off. That's good. I think that's a plus. It appears to me, I like the idea of a new building, new facade, a new canopy. And if your pump layout is better than the existing layout in terms of traffic circulation, unless somebody tells me it's not, if it's as good or no worse, or maybe better, then that's a plus. So, but then we have to deal with the dimensional requirements, which, we can't do anything about that. We could approve a plan, but we would be subject to ZBA approval on whatever those dimensional requirements you gotta meet. So you're being treated like everybody else. This is just what it is. This is a challenge of redeveloping an older site and trying to invest in it and make improvements. So from my standpoint, I like the reinvestment. I like closing some entrances. If the pump locations, while they're not conforming, are as good as what we have now out there, then that's neutral, that's fine. And a new canopy, that's an investment, that's an improvement. So where I'm at, I'm okay with that. Staff's gonna have to say where they're deficient and they gotta delineate what those variance requests have to be, unless the commission decides they don't like it at all, and he just keeps his building with the improvement, and we're left with the canopy. But that's the challenge, the classic challenge of redeveloping and, whatever. And if we're not up to this task, we're not gonna be up to many other tasks that we have grander ideas about doing in this community. So I like it, I'm okay with it. We need to give him direction so he can do his improvements, find out what he's got to get to the ZBA, go to ZBA, make your case. They don't approve it, they don't approve it. They're the final word. Right, Mr. Attorney?
Correct.
Okay. So anyhow, that's my piece. All right.
Agreed.
You two want to make a motion?
Yeah, you want to make a motion, Dale? I don't have anything in front of me, so
Well, I'll make a motion. Do I have a cheat sheet?
thank you.
It's just,
Okay, and so, yes. So I'll just reference the letters here. Looking at staff, and I'm getting giggling, but no nodding, so whatever.
The change of date issue.
I move that the application for site plan approval 58/9/2024 dated September 13, 24, as revised submitted by Fayed Nasser-Ardine be approved because it appears to meet all applicable requirements of the zoning chapter, subject to the following conditions. All outstanding issues identified by Giffords-Webster, dated May 6, 2025, right? Okay, thank you. Review shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of the city planner. All outstanding issues identified by the city engineers, is it still April 17th? April 17th, 2025, interoffice correspondence shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of our city engineer, and at all outstanding issues identified by fire marshals, April 8th, 2025, interoffice correspondence shall be addressed to the reasonable satisfaction of our fire marshal.
Second.
It's got to be subject to variance.
Didn't mention.
And that inasmuch as those issues identify variance, they would be subject to zoning board of appeal variance for the identified deficiencies, zoning deficiencies. Is that okay? Or something like that?
So, just to clarify, where the Giffords-Webster letter says ordinance requirements are not met, you are expecting ZBA variance relief?
Yes.
In order for your motion to be?
Yeah. In response to the Giffords-Webster's letter, the expectation is you'll have to meet zoning ZBA variance, get ZBA variance approval.
So.
Subject to.
Not your fault, but it was confusing that the statement says that all requirements are met. It probably in the future should be worded a little differently for a conditional approval.
The draft, reading from the draft motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I read.
Meet applicable standards, is that what you're saying?
When it says all are met and they aren't, it should say all except the following are met.
Yeah, I agree, that's fine, yeah. All
I, of course, am not talking to you, as you know, Dale.
You can still talk, Joe.
Yeah, okay, we're friends, you know.
Okay.
People are listening.
You know, as much as we want it approved and stuff like that, we just want clarification on that circulation that we've been going back and forth for months with them, with the planning department. And Giffords and Webster maybe, but I don't communicate with them, I communicate only with,
So my motion is.
Hang on.
that circulation.
So from the city's perspective, that is an ordinance, that does not meet ordinance. So he is going to need to get a variance from the ZBA for that circulation.
We need a variance for that, that's fine, okay.
For the circulation.
For the circulation, that is.
Okay,
And
so.
the front yard setback.
Canopy for
The
air
canopy.
setbacks, as well as the parking area setback.
They have to explain their approach to zoning and hopefully get the variance. Like, we're trying to support you and help you, but you still have more work to do.
No, I understand, thank you. I appreciate it.
So I would list it, Cheryl, as, and they put a last condition, and that all required variances be required, and that city staff identify the issues to the applicant, what is required to be presented to the zoning board of appeals. So, right, is that okay? So you have to identify to them what they need to apply for, delineate what the variance requests are, and it has circulation and their setbacks or whatever it is, give them a list.
Yeah.
So those are zoning requirements, and you're being treated like everybody else. Those are zoning requirements you gotta meet, you gotta make your case.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Does that simplify it?
Acceptable.
Can we vote in the affirmative for this then?
Pardon?
Vote for this as it is now?
For the motion, which is approval subject to the letters, specifically the variance relief, yes, you can.
Mr. Chair, I would think it's appropriate for Cheryl, after all that confusion, for Cheryl to read to us what we're going to vote on.
No.
That's how confusing it is.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
I'm not confused.
Yeah, through the chair, we're specifically not identifying 4 variances or 5 or 3 or whatever. Staff is to determine which ones need to go to the ZBA. They're in the letter, but rather than have you try to ferret them out.
I do have that.
So it's basically this, with the additional condition and acquire all required variances from the zoning board of appeals. As
identified by
As
staff.
identified by staff and shared with the applicant, so they can do it one time. Okay? That's it, Joe.
I
Okay.
just want some clarity.
Okay. Yes, Tangi.
It says, because it appears to meet all applicable requirements, as Joe said, wasn't there some language going to be changed in that?
Future.
Because-
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
In the
Because-
future, they will do a better
but-
job.
Well, meets the requirements subject to those conditions, right? It's technically correct. It's maybe not the best way to word it, but I don't think we're in jeopardy. No. So.
Support.
That's confusing to me.
Motion is good.
I thought.
Motion's good, so we're ready to go.
Kristen supporting.
Thank you for
Okay.
your help.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign.
Good luck.
Good luck.
I need your names.
Can't
I
get the
didn't-
variance, you can't.
Good luck.
Leave it the way it is.
Okay.
Amendment, text amendment, zoning text
darn it.
amendment. I know.
I move that we remove the word Friends Stretch.
And it just, and there you go.
This is just scheduling a public hearing.
Beautiful design group, right?
Okay.
Just scheduling a public hearing.
I knew I liked you, Dale. I knew.
Alex,
You all right with me?
Next item on the agenda is zoning text amendment 5, 2024.
Judson and Rabin.
Just setting it up.
Zoning ordinance at design standards
Thank
set
you.
for public hearing.
I move we set this for a public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and supported.
Is that good, Julie?
That,
Eric, do you want a date certain?
We don't
I
need,
made a couple small changes if you guys want me to tell you them, but.
I can see them.
So it used to say that it was for facades that are visible from a right-of-way. We changed it to oriented towards, so it's only the ones that are directly facing those right-of-ways. And then we eliminated anything that regulated any kind of facade that wasn't facing a right-of-way, because we did have some stuff for the fenestration for facing a parking lot and all other facades. Aside from that, all of the other changes were ones that we talked about, but those ones sounded like they were ones that Planning Commission wanted, and we wanted to make sure that that was in there.
okay. Cool.
Okay.
Good.
We didn't vote yet, did we?
No,
Okay. Anybody have any more discussion?
it's disgusting, right?
You can't discuss it, but you used all your discussions tonight.
I'm not talking.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Now, we're down to approval of minutes.
Before you do, that was Manti and Aspinall. Did Aspinall support that last motion?
I think it was Varga.
It was,
Oh, it was me.
It-
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. I move
I don't
to
want credit for that.
approve the minutes from the April 17th, 2025 regular and special meetings.
Second. Okay.
Is there a support?
Oh, Tangi supported.
Okay. All those in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, minutes are passed. Public comments, there is no public left here to talk, so that's passed that. Commissioner comments? We've used all our comments.
I made enough comments.
Yes,
Yeah.
we're gonna give it out to you like tickets in World War
I
II
think
for
so.
bread and things.
Haven't anyone have it?
Okay. They're looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Can I make just one more comment before we adjourn?
Yeah.
I just wanted to briefly introduce the city's new staff planner. She's staff planner 2. She's been recently hired here in April. Her name is Diane Mulville-Friel. She previously was with the city of Largo, Florida, which is a comparably sized city to this one. She was also with Carlisle Warman Associates for a time here in Michigan before coming with us. So we're very happy to have her, and she'll be playing a big role in things going forward.
Went the wrong direction.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet everyone.
Welcome.
Enjoy, have fun.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Okay.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, all those opposed? Meeting's adjourned.
We want to stay.